Hey guys, Marsengan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be doing the team building guide for the LR Spirit Bomb Absorbed Super Saiyan Goku Extreme Z battle that's coming out tonight on Global. This is going to be coming out, I think it's 1 AM UK time. It's basically the same time that the Part 2 events dropped. I will be streaming when these events come out. I'll probably go live about an hour before. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. We can go over more team building details and if you guys have any questions, and then we will be going through the stages live on the stream. So this is a typical LR EZA, which means it is 10 stages. You still get 30 stones because you get 3 stones for each, and then if you go past stage 10 you just farm up Hercule statues so you can get some Zenny. The total rewards overall are obviously all the medals you need to actually EZA the LR, 5 AGL Kais so you can get them straight up to SA25, and obviously the 30 stones, as well as some AGL Orbs. And then there are a couple of missions as well. There's only one for LR ones, which is just beat stage 7, which gives you 3 stones. So you do get 33 stones overall by completing this EZA. Now with LR EZAs, as you can see when we look at the stage parameters here, you never get a debuff for using certain characters, right? So even STR characters, whilst they do have type disadvantage, so they'll be doing less damage in general, as always, they don't get a massive damage reduction debuff like you do in normal 30 stage EZAs. And the reason for that, of course, is because in LR EZAs, they want you to use the legendary power link in order to do more damage. So the more LRs you have on your team, the quicker you will be able to get through this event. And then the special category is for defense. So the special category for this one is Target Goku. What this means is LRs who are not on Target Goku will still be able to do good damage against this Goku, but they will take a lot of damage, right? Target Goku characters are the ones who are going to be able to actually defend well against this guy, especially in the later stages. So we're going to have a look at the Target Goku category. This is one of the ones, as you can see straight away, the landscape has changed quite significantly on Global. There are units that were not out during the anniversary on JP that will potentially be very useful for this EZA. So we're going to go through some of those now. As always with my team building guides, I'm going to go through my top picks and honorable mentions. If there's any units you think I missed out or should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comment section. And if you do find the guide helpful at all, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are super close to hitting our 25,000 subscriber goal for the anniversary. So yeah, if you do like the content, you know, give us a subscribe. So moving in straight away, we have the first unit, which is of course the STR 17 Duo. Now, I know some people just straight up did not summon for these guys, which is understandable considering how wonky their kit is, but they are pretty decent. And when it comes to this event, now whilst they do have type disadvantage, they have a Target Goku leader skill with the extra 30% going to androids. So these guys have one of the better Target Goku leader skills, because obviously then you cover the whole category and you don't have to worry about doing like sub-category teams. And then of course any androids, which there are a lot on Target Goku, get the full 200% leader skill. So that will obviously make things a little bit easier when it comes to the LRs that you bring on the team, doing lots and lots of damage. Because remember, the more TURs you bring on the team, the less likely you are to have like legendary power active, right? Because the more TURs you have, the more of a chance you have that your first rotation is like 1 LR and 2 TURs. So then you're not going to get legendary power active. You are not going to do as much damage. Now, bear in mind, depending on how you have to build your team, if you have to run a lot of non-LR units. I have beaten LR EZAs, like all 10 stages, with teams with no LRs on them. So it's not impossible. You just do extra damage when you have legendary power active. So these guys can be pretty decent. I mean, they get a buff when fighting a super class enemy, right? They get the extra super attack. And then of course they build up dodge with each attack that they do, so even though they are type disadvantaged, they will have the potential to just dodge attacks that Goku throws at them, and they do raise defense on each super as well, so they can get up to having a pretty decent level of defense. Obviously if they get hit by a super attack in the later stages, they are going to take a lot of damage, but honestly, on Global as of right now, looking at the category overall, I feel like these guys probably are the best leader option if you do have them, just because they give that 200% leader skill to a lot of the units. And then, of course, they released with these guys as a side banner unit, who've then, of course, been available on banners after that. And they have a Target Goku leader skill, which is only 130. So there's probably better options for the leader, but they greatly raise defense for 1 turn. And then if you're fighting a Goku, this is how they get all their full buffs, including guard. So against a Goku specifically, these guys will be pretty good for the team because they support Target Goku for 1 key and 30% attack and defense. And then if you pick up 3 or more orbs, they give an extra 1 key and 20%. So they're giving 2 key 50% as long as you pick up 3 orbs, whilst also having guard and extra attack and defense by fighting a Goku. So these guys, I feel like, even if you're going to run a team that otherwise is fully LRs, it's kind of worth bringing these guys, right? Because if your units in slot 1 and 2 have legendary power active, then this guy's giving them 50% extra support. They definitely can be pretty good. So I think these guys can be good as a support unit, maybe not as a leader, but they do have Target Goku if you have no other options. Now, of course, we have the much older unit that really should have easy A'd alongside the STR-17s, but Android 13. So he's the original Target Goku leader, 3 key, HP is only 130 and then 170 to attack and defense. He supports androids, and that's pretty much it. That's really all he brings to the table in this form. And then, of course, he transforms when you get to turn 5. But Easy A's don't really ever go on that long. But if he does transform, then obviously he gets an extra bit of a buff. He gets buffs per Target Goku ally on the team, which ideally the full team is going to be anyway. And then he gets guaranteed crits against Goku. So, I mean, he can be decent, but very rarely will you get to turn 5. I think, personally, for me, I'm only going to run this guy as a leader. And obviously, I have the STR-17, so I would probably run them over him. And then try and bring as many LRs as possible. So this guy really just gets an honourable mention for having the Target Goku leader skill more so than anything else. So next up we have Golden Frieza. Now Golden Frieza, his leader skill Resurrected Warriors or Planetary Destruction. It is possible to make a full Target Goku team out of this combination of leader skills. And then obviously Golden Frieza, very, very strong defensive unit, right? He loses damage reduction as the turns go on, but as I've already mentioned, Easy A's don't last as long as a lot of other events, so he's not going to lose a ton of that damage reduction by the time you've completed the Easy A. So he's going to be very, very good to tank in slot 1. And that is essentially his main role. Like, he actually does do decent damage as well. So if you have him, he's probably like your go-to slot 1 defender option. And you can fit a team out of his leader skill, right? And then, of course, we have the Tech Super 17. Now, yes, he is not a very good unit, but GT bosses or androids. So you can make a full Target Goku team out of his leader skill. 4 key and 150 to stats. 150 obviously not ideal, but 4 key is nice, especially when we're running a team that has a lot of LRs. And he is an LR himself. So crazy though it may be, I will probably be running him because he's an LR, legendary power, and he has type advantage. So he will actually be quite useful in this event, even though he isn't the best unit for sure. But if you're building a team of full androids and Target Goku, that's how he gets his full potential. He gets damage reduction the turn after he gets hit, which is kind of dumb. But, you know, he can still be useful. I think more so because he has type advantage, right? But he's another LR that can fit on the team, especially if you are running the STR-17s. They will link up quite nicely. Then we have the LR Cell. He leads Android / Cell Saga, so again, you could make a team with his leader skill and just bring a bunch of androids from the Android / Cell Saga that are all on Target Goku, and that'll work quite nicely. He can be good for Easy A's and events like this where you can't heal, because of course if you drop below 40% HP, you then get the you then get the full heal with him, and he transforms into Perfect Cell, and then becomes an incredibly hard-hitting unit. So he just definitely is another go-to, like, top choice for this Easy A, I think. And obviously has the added bonus of being a decent stand-in leader, because 180 for his lead is higher than almost any of the other options that aren't the 200% leader. Now, obviously, it excludes units like the Super 17s, Android 13, etc. But if you don't mind losing out on a couple of those, depending on what your box looks like for androids, then this guy will have a very good leader skill. Next up, we have the Tech Cell. Now, obviously, he didn't have his Easy A on JP, I believe, when the anniversary Easy A's came out. So he's another really solid pick that is on Target Goku. Again, more so like Super 17, really, just for the fact that he's an LR that has type advantage. and fits on a lot of these teams, right? He's an android on Target Goku, so he's getting the 200% leader skill from the STR-17s. He'll be on the in LR Cells 180 lead, so this guy will just be another very solid option. And you can deliberately go for his 12 key super to get the 15% heal, because obviously in these things you can't heal, right? You can't use items, so you should be looking pretty good with this guy on the team. Next up we have the Metal Cooler. Now, Metal Cooler's another good unit, right? He gets the revive, which can be really useful, builds up defense by getting hit, can hit relatively hard, and then, of course, because he has Wicked Bloodline as a leader skill for the full 200%, we already mentioned Golden Frieza, there's quite a lot of Wicked Bloodline characters that are on Target Goku, so you definitely could make a team with this guy as the leader. In fact, if you had this guy, you could make a team with the full free-to-play Metal Coolers, and even though it would take longer, because they're not LRs, that is a way you could legitimately do the stage with a mostly free-to-play team. So this guy definitely can be useful. He has an active skill that heals, but you can only really use it from the 5th turn, so again, not very likely to see that often, but he can definitely be good. And then, of course, as a free-to-play option or replacement for him, or just a unit on the team, there's the Battlefield LR Metal Cooler Army that have their EZA. They have Extreme Class 4 key and 120, so they could be a backup lead if you are like a free-to-play, or you don't have any of the other leader units that we've mentioned so far. They do raise defense on their supers, which is pretty good. They support artificial life forms allies with 3 key and 30% defense, which a lot of the android characters that we've talked about already do fit into that category, so they're supporting them. So actually these guys can make a pretty good support unit on the team, even if you're running mostly other androids and stuff, right? Because they're on the Target Goku category, and they're buffing all the androids who are on artificial life forms, so these guys can be a solid option. Even if they ended up being the only Wicked Bloodline unit on the team, these guys can actually be quite good. So now moving on to non-LRs, because some of the TURs obviously can still be very good, they're just not going to be doing the extra damage, right? So this Piccolo was not out on JP during the anniversary, and he is incredibly good. Now, with his leader skill, mostly the Terrifying Conqueror's part, to be honest, but you will be able to make a team out of his lead. Not a lot of those characters will get the 200% though. In fact, I think barely any of the ones you'd want to use for this. I guess the cells, some of them are on Battle of Fate, like the Perfect Cells specifically. But then they're not on Terrifying Conquerors, so it's mostly going to be like the Wicked Bloodline units and some of the androids maybe. Actually, I don't think a lot of them are on there either, so this one maybe not so good for the leader skill, but as a unit himself he is very good. Raise attack and defense on super, has the entrance animation, has whether you put him in slot 1 or 2, he obviously has varying different strengths, but I'm sure we've all seen like the screenshots or clips of him at this point. The fact that he can get up to some pretty ridiculously high attack stats while also having really, really good defense. He also has the giant form from turn 4 if you're on 60% or less HP, which, to be honest, if you're finding the later stages harder, by the time you get to stage 4, you probably have, sorry, turn 4, you probably have 60% or less HP, so then you get the giant form to potentially finish off the fight. So Piccolo Jr. definitely is a really good addition that was not available on JP when this event came out, so he certainly can be pretty useful. Then we have Broly. Now, Broly doesn't fit on a lot of these other teams, but he has Planetary Destruction or Movie Bosses, so I guess he's on the Golden Frieza leader skill that we talked about already, but his leader skill covers some of those other units like Freezers and Coolers that we've talked about, right? So you could use him as a lead. He has damage reduction, which he gets extra of when you're fighting a Pure Saiyan, which we are. And then it kind of just comes down to RNG, right? He can do multiple supers, he's stacking his defense infinitely, and has that damage reduction alongside it, so he definitely can be a very strong option. The only downside, of course, is his links. No big bad bosses, and he is the only Saiyan, basically, on this team that you'd be running, so he's not going to get a lot of his links active, right? Like, at most, you're going to have links like... Oh, actually, yeah, it's just going to be Fierce Battle on this team, isn't it? So, not great, but... at a push, he could be a fill-in leader or that last slot filler if you don't have anyone else to put on the team. But yeah, he's more of an honourable mention than anything else. So then we have the TUR Super 17. Remember, you can't use same name units in an EZA, so if you are using the Tech LR, you can't use this guy. I feel like this is the only event that exists where I would probably use the Tech LR over this guy, and only because he's an LR for legendary power and has type advantage. But even with the type advantage, I feel like this Super 17 probably is better defensively most of the time, but obviously the other one will do more damage, mostly because of the legendary power link. But if you don't have the LR, then obviously you can run this guy and he'll be pretty good. We also have this Tech Cell, who's a good support. He's a World Tournament unit, so I know not a lot of people will have him, but he has type advantage. He supports all extreme class allies, so he'll be supporting everybody on the team. So that's pretty good, and he greatly raises defense on Super as well, so he can be a nice support unit. Then we have the same thing with Jiro and 19. They can be a very good support unit, decent defense after supering. They also heal on Super, which is really good. They absorb Ki Blast supers, but I'm pretty sure his super attack doesn't count as a Ki Blast, especially in the last phases, so that part doesn't really come into play. But decent defense, heal, and support all androids for 3 Ki and 40%, which obviously is also very, very powerful of an ability, so very good. Then we have these guys. They're not as great, but they can be an alright filler support unit. They are, as long as you have an extreme ally in the turn, they have a medium chance to guard. And then with a super class enemy, they're giving allies more attack than they are defense, so they are just there for the support. Honestly, they're really not that great, but they kind of just make an honourable mention. If you have no one else to put on the team and you just want to throw in a bit of support to make your other units hit a little bit harder, then these guys can be pretty good. Then we have the TUR Golden Freezer. So as I already said, can't use the same name. So if you have the LR is better, of course, not just because of legendary power, but, you know, higher stats, higher HP for your team, all that good stuff. But if you don't have the LR, this guy, or the AGL one, to be fair, can take their place as a solid slot 1 tank. Then we have the physical metal cooler. I did mention all of them free-to-play metal coolers because they all are named differently, so you can use all of them. The physical one stands out because obviously he heals based on the damage he does, so that makes him super useful. Probably the most useful out of all of them, to be honest, just because of that healing, especially if you are struggling a little bit with the harder stages. Then we have this guy, the free-to-play, well, he's not final form, is it? 4th form cooler. He supports Terrifying Conquerors, so obviously if you are running a lot of those units, he can be good, and he has type advantage, so just another honourable mention support unit. This guy gets a bit of an honourable mention just because he's a fairly strong tech TUR. You are fighting a Goku enemy, but unfortunately that's all that really does is guaranteed stun, which you can't do in the later phases anyway, so not really that important. But if you're running a very Wicked Bloodline centric team, this guy can be quite good, because the other final form coolers, I mean, there's the STR LR, so you could run the risk, right? Because with legendary power and the fact that he could potentially drop a ton of crits, the STR final form LR cooler could actually do a ton of damage, but then if he gets hit, he's going to take a lot of damage on the way back, right? So probably not worth the risk. I don't know, you probably could speed blitz it, we'll see. And then lastly, we have the Transforming Freezer, who just is a general solid unit, decent defense, decent power, heals at the start of the turn. Obviously he transforms every turn, but you're probably not going to get much further than maybe you'll see the 3rd form at some point, because then that would be turn 5 if he was on turn 1, but you're probably not going to get much further than that. So there you go. In terms of Target Goku, that's the top picks and honourable mentions. Just having a quick look down again. I guess there is the Tech Broly, right? So if you're running the Int Broly, you could run those two together. This guy, not great in the meta anymore, needs an easy A, but for actual Extreme Z battles, he could be pretty decent. I did mention Cooler already. In terms of the LRs, I mean, Baby doesn't have his easy A on Global, but I guess he could be another sort of honourable mention, like if you really need to pick an LR to go in the last slot on your team. And to be fair, I guess I should have given an honourable mention to the Friend Summon Androids, because with their easy A, because we're fighting a super class enemy, they do get their full range of abilities and they are supporting the team. So if you're running like the the STR-17s as lead, they get their full 200% leader skill and are providing a lot of support. So I did steer away from the STR LRs, as I already mentioned. The physical androids are a bit outdated now without an easy A, but you probably could get away with running them. And then obviously I tried not to go into too much detail with the TURs, because you do want to focus on LRs more so than anything else. But obviously there are some standouts. STR Cooler, type disadvantage, but if you're running a Wicked Bloodline team, he obviously could still be pretty good. But yeah, there probably are some other TURs that could have got honourable mentions, but I tried to focus more on the actual LRs. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like I said, if you think I should have talked about some of these units in more detail, especially some of the TURs, let me know down below in the comment section, and let me know what your team build is going to look like for the Spirit Bomb absorbed Goku EZA battle. And like I say, I'll be live to do it on stream, so hopefully I will see you guys there. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.